So first I want to talk about Jan 6 and the Oathkeepers, right? Because we were going to talk about January 6th today, but the January 6th
Rain delay.
Select Committee, there was a delay because, and it's Steven Crowder, I think, hit on it really good, like very dry. But the committee hearing is in D.C., right? And then
do your best impression of do your own announcement of it in your best dry Steven Crowder persona.
Oh, geez, I don't remember that.
Just do it.
So because the D.C. hearing was happening in D.C. and there's a hurricane in Florida, and so they had to call off the hearing because of the hurricane in Florida.
The day before the hearing.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm not really sure what the deal is with that, but they canceled the hearing in DC because of the Florida hurricane. I believe Steven Crowder surmised or guessed that it was because of the ratings, right? They don't want to miss out any ratings because obviously that's the only thing anybody's talking about is the hurricane, obviously, which everybody's fine.
I believe there was even one of the dailies even mentioned something like that. Like they did that because they didn't want to. They wanted to make sure that when they did that, everybody had an opportunity to view this most auspicious event. And so they didn't feel like it was fair to the people of Florida that they wouldn't be able to participate in this and be able to view this. And so we had to delay. And we still, to this day, don't have a date.
So we were going to talk about January 6th, about the new updates, because they were supposed to go over new evidence and cover some new video footage and things like that. And that didn't happen. But there's also the beginning of the first jury trial for a group of Oathkeepers, right? And the Oathkeeper is like some militia group. It's who fucking knows? Any of these, the 3%ers, any of this bullshit that these fucking guys do.
They're a loud and annoying militia group.
Yeah, and when you're, I don't want to delegitimize anybody, but when you're that big,
got to be smart.
I'm not into it. So,
how effective can you be as a local militia if you're that big?
The point is, we want to talk about this because we think that it's really important. And I think the conversation that we had with Joseph last week or last episode made a very legitimate point that there are political prisoners in the United States right now. And it's something that should be more prevalent, and the discussion about it should be happening more often. So we wanted to try and bring more light to that. And the Oathkeeper thing specifically, we will go over more because there's like an audio clip that I want to play and stuff. And the Oathkeepers, a lot of the stuff that they're being accused of sounds like a lot of the shit that you guys listen to us talk about every time you're here. And that's why I want to talk about it, because if those things just simply owning body armor and buying weaponry and saying that you think a civil war is going to happen, if those things are considered seditious conspiracy because you're in a certain location, then I think that should tell us something about the conversations that we're having and the way that they're being interpreted by the federal government and the powers that be. Not that we don't know that already by the domestic violent extremist labels and things like that, but so when I heard the way that they were describing that, just simply the conversations that he was having, the leader of the Oathkeepers, it sounds an awful lot like the conversations that we are having here. So because of that, because we're all having these conversations, I think it's important that we all know what these people are going to potentially spend time in federal prison for. And I talked to Colin either in the first part or before the show about the interview that I watched with Marjorie Taylor Greene, talking about the way that the January 6th prisoners are being treated. Some of them have been in solitary confinement for 18 months since just after January 6th and will continue to be in solitary confinement until they get their trial date, which for some of them is not, a year or more from now. So this is extremely dark treatment, and to think that that's happening for purely political purposes in the United States should not only concern us because we're having this conversation, but should concern anybody because it's happening for political reasons, and it can happen to you if the people who are in power don't like what you have to say. So we will go into that more probably the next episode, because I would expect the January 6th hearing would happen before then.
Yeah.
But if not, just know this is something that we will be tracking. We are going to be talking about this because we think it's very important.
Yeah, and the Oathkeepers trial will have actually really kind of kicked off. Right now, they're doing jury selection stuff, so there hasn't really been any major movement on that, unless you're one of those people that have a great legal mind and like to pick through jury selection. But again, if you're going to be charged in Washington, D.C., you're only getting one kind of juror anyway, so it's not a... like where this is going to go, but also I will add that part of the reason these people are being treated this way and in this manner is because of where it was at.
Yes.
You know, there's a reason why the everyday militia guy isn't getting picked up somewhere else, or even one of the larger. Who's the guy who was on IRL recently? Has another big militia survival group. I can't remember his name. Mike Glover. You know, he was not in that. He was not there at that time, putting himself in that position. So he is not being pursued with that great reverence, even though he is also on the domestic extremist list and shit like that. So
his group and everything.
Yeah, so he's getting a different degree of it. But a lot of this stuff, I think, really only stems from them being at that time and at that place, being right there. And that, I mean, it's very interesting to see, because it obviously is a very selectively assessed situation.
Right.
And so, yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll be following it. We'll be watching. I would imagine some of legal YouTube, like Viva Fry and shit like that, will be streaming those things, and I'll be trying to watch as many of those as I can, so we could be as tuned up as possible.
Yeah.
For that trial, and then of course to go, like you said, hand in hand with that, the next installment of season 2 or season 3. I forget what season we're on at this point. Of season 3 of Jan 6.
Yes.
Which they got to hurry, because they're about to lose Cheney. You know, they're about to lose Cheney, and if the writing on the wall is any indication, that select committee is not going to be around very much longer. So, you know, season 3 is going to be a shortened season, obviously, and I don't think we're going to get a return to season 4.
Right.
Hey everybody, Colin here from Salt the Streets. Thank you for watching today's edition of Salty Shorts. If you liked what you saw, please be sure to check out the full episode right here on the Salt of the Streets YouTube channel. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to share this with all your friends. And you too can become a spreader of the message of liberty. Thanks.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets.